Chapter 18, Back on Earth. Gertrude Gritbun waddled up to the bike as Darius came to a stop. Big bike. Anthony, my Anthony, are you all right? Her son practically fell off the rear fender and struggled to his feet. He wiped his face with his hands, hoping to hide his tears. Darius climbed off the bicycle, laid it on the ground, and ran to Miss Hastings. Miss Hastings, I thought I'd never see you again. Oh my, Miss Hastings said. How terrible that would have been. Darius hugged her, and she hugged him back. She smelled like lemons and felt like home. As they held each other, Darius felt a pair of arms around both of them and his old housekeeper. Daedalus had joined them, and they were all wrapped up together. But their reunion was quickly disturbed. Anthony had recovered and was back to being his usual self. You, he said, pointing at Daedalus. Your silly bike almost killed me. I almost fell. Said Daedalus, with a bemused look on his face. It seems to me that you owe Darius a thank you. Thank him, said Anthony. Why should I thank him? If it wasn't for him, I never would have been on that bike. I told you not to get on that bike, Daedalus said. You heard me very well, and you didn't listen. You shouldn't have bikes like that lying around, said Gertrude Gritbun. My son could have been hurt. Maybe we'll sue. That's the silliest thing I have ever heard, said Miss Hastings. Your son doesn't listen, and you blame someone else? You should be ashamed of yourselves. Daedalus tried to stop him and got pushed over for his trouble. And if it wasn't for Darius, this boy would have died. Darius saved his life. We all know it. Gertrude Gritbun spluttered, and Colonel Crimper grimaced. Aunt Inga sniffed, but no one said anything because they knew it was true. Whatever, mumbled Anthony. He looked at the ground and scowled. You probably want Anthony to apologize and thank Darius. No chance. Miss Hastings, Darius said, how did you get here? I took a bus last night. Yesterday I was unpacking a box I took with me from your father's house. There were things from his desk I should have gone through before. You know how messy that desk was. Even those Figby and Migby people wouldn't go through everything. I couldn't bear to look at those things right away. When I finally did, I found a letter and an envelope. He hadn't even bothered to address it. He must have gotten sidetracked. Here it is. And here's Abby, who wants more cheese and crackers. With trembling hands, Miss Hastings reached into her sweater pocket and pulled out an envelope. Everyone watched as she opened it and read, To whom it may concern, in the event of my demise or disappearance, I would like my housekeeper, Miss Grace Hastings, to become the guardian of my son, Darius Frobisher. While Inga Burnslacker, his great aunt, is his closest relative, I think it would be best for everyone if he stays with Miss Hastings. I know she loves him. Rudolph Frobisher. Miss Hastings paused to gather herself, then continued. So this morning I took a bus here. I called Daedalus from the bus station. I picked her up on my tandem bicycle, Daedalus said. Miss Hastings sighed. It was a call I should have made 40 years ago. I knew you were here, said Darius. I smelled the burnt toast. Your bike was ready, said Daedalus, but you didn't really need it. It sure flew, said Darius. Yes, it did, Daedalus said with a grin. More crackers and cheese. Give me 1 second. Then Darius heard Miss Hastings hissing and spluttering. It was Aunt Inga. She was breathing heavily. Fine, she said. This is just a fine kettle of fish. Why should I expect anything different? You've been nothing but a burden to me. And what do I get from it? Nothing. Aunt Inga, Darius began. Aunt Inga, she mimicked. You listen to me, you. No, said Darius, quite sure of himself now. You listen to me.